Hey, welcome everybody. This is a very special class. Our class today is on what is the process of the coming of Moshiach. Now, you can say in a time like this, we should be focused on breathing exercises and coping exercises. And I have a video for whoever wants. I have a YouTube channel which is very popular. I think 2 people watch it.
I watched it.
You watched it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great news. The only guy that's written more than people read. I'm very prolific, but it's okay because somebody's got to do the work. Whatever happens, it's okay. So the channel is www.kabbalahwisdom.org. I have a website, kabbalahwisdom.org. And the channel is the same thing. It's just without the dots. www.kabbalahwisdom.org. And then you can see I put out something on coping skills and all that stuff. And I think Nechama Medina is going to be doing on B'tachon, which is.
Yes.
But really, the reason I want to do Moshiach, apart from the fact that we're going to be in the Beis HaMikdash soon, so that's very good. And in addition to that. It's also Mashiach is very important for coping skills. Mashiach is hope, right? So if you know that Mashiach is about to come, you have a light at the end of the tunnel, so then you're looking forward and you're not looking backward. And that's really ultimately what Klippa is nothing but darkness. That's all it is. It's darkness, it's jealousy of light. And I said, should we ask the guys to be a little quieter?
Guys, we're having a shiur. Can you please keep your...
Okay, so the idea is that ultimately, first of all, let's say L'chaim. Thank you, Hashem. It's Rosh Chodesh. We're celebrating in a shul with more than 10 neshamas. We have the Shechina, it's Sfas. We're just transitioning from Tishrei, a beautiful Tishrei, into it's going to be Beis HaMikdash. The Bnei Yisachar, by the way, the Rebbe brings down. Bnei Yisachar says that the Beis HaMikdash will be inaugurated in Cheshvan. He's very clear. It's a very great tzaddik. The Rebbe said everything that the Bnei Yisachar said to him was like the Arizal saying it. That's how great the Bnei Yisachar was. So we know the Beis HaMikdash is coming, and so we're celebrating. We're celebrating the coming of Moshiach. Of course, it says the merit of the righteous Jewish women. That Moshiach is coming. We don't have these gender issues. It's not me. It is you. So thank you. And l'chaim v'bracha. You want some? Okay. Okay. So, just to give myself a little credibility in who am I to talk about Mashiach and what Mashiach is coming. So I've written, Baruch Hashem, 2 booklets. One is called Live Redeemed, which is a very important idea. A lot of the idea of Mashiach, unbeknown to many, is not, there was a Rebbe, not a Lubavitch Rebbe, that said that those who know what Mashiach is don't say. Those who say don't know. The only ones that know and say are the Lubavitcher Rebbes. So Mashiach, what Mashiach is, in fact, Al Rebbe says the Mashiach that everybody's waiting for isn't coming, and the Mashiach that's coming, no one's waiting for. So to understand what Mashiach really is a very, very beautiful, very, very beautiful, important thing. And I also had the schus to translate. There's a very beautiful book, which the Rebbe gave approval on this book. It's called Torah Shel Mashiach. Every single thing that the Rebbe said and published from Chav Chasnis, the very famous Sikha, which the Rebbe said, and at that time, that was when the Rebbe made that whole call. He says, listen, we got to do everything we can. It's up to you. I've done everything in my power. It's up to you. And so the everything that the Rebbe said and published, very, very high times, like in a way the highest times, also connected to Mashiach, is the fact, you may not know this, but Chaf Shvat, one of our participants, we won't divulge unless they want to, had a dream the other night where they saw a womb and a baby in the womb, and in that there was another baby, and I said that's very significant. Why? Because when the Rebbetzin passed away, Chaf Shvat, which is, of course, Chaf Beis is 22, which is Yud Aleph, double 11. 11 is a very important number. Why? We're all familiar with the number of 10. 10 is the number of holiness. It's also the 10 sayings. It says in the Kabbalah that when we Jews do the 10 Commandments, it gives energy to the 10 sayings. So therefore, we should know. And again, I released a video today on this, so it's very good. But the point is that the power of the Jewish people is really the Torah. Well, I don't know. They probably want to do the thing. I don't know. Listen, they come here every day. They're having a breakfast. They're entitled to have. It's difficult. Oh yeah. Okay, I could talk louder if you want. How about that? Okay. So the point is that 11 is a very special number. Why is 11 a special number? Because 10 is the order of creation. Also, 10 is a holy order. Why? Because we have the 10 Commandments, right? 7 is kind of the order of creation. It's a natural order. But 11 is already beyond holiness. Why is 11 so holy? Because 11, you have the number 10, and Yud Aleph, you literally have an Aleph that comes into the Yud. And the whole idea of this world is that a very, very, very famous thing. You know it, of course, the whole idea of Goyla to Geula. What's the difference? The Rebbe says the difference between exile and redemption is the letter Aleph. Now that's very, very, very important. So remind me, in case I forget, we kind of go on freestyle Hasidic consciousness. So I want to tell you what's physically going to happen, but more important than what's physically going to happen when Mashiach comes is what's spiritually going to happen. And that's what's very important. We all know. You have a question?
I just wanted to make a comment.
Yeah.
The baby was born on Yud Aleph.
Right. Yes. The Rebbe was born Yud Aleph. Not only that, the Rebbe became Rebbe basically on the 11th day of the 11th month.
Wow.
Right? And when the Rebbetzin passed away, it was the 22nd day of the 11th month. And the Rebbe says this opened up a new, and if you understand the Rebbe's Torah, to be perfectly frank,
Like 11 times 2?
Yeah, 11 times 2, yeah, 22. I totally couldn't get, obviously I can read Hebrew. I couldn't understand what the Rebbe was saying in the last years. It was like, you could listen to it. It was like just almost random, pulling from here. But at a certain point in my life, I don't know what it was, maybe I reached a certain spiritual level. Those are the most beautiful sichos. I love those sichos so much. And it's not only Nun Aleph, it's from when the Rebbetzin passed away, Mem Ches. So that was 1988, 22nd of Shvat, 1988, till the Rebbe stopped speaking, which was Chav Zayin Adar, the 27th of Adar, 1992. 48 in the Hebrew calendar. So 48 to 52 in the Hebrew calendar. And those talks, the Rebbe speaks about this idea, is so when the previous Rebbe became Rebbe, or when he came to America, there were 10 years. It was Tufshin to Tufshin Yud. If it's too complicated, let me know. We can.
Also,
yeah.
this was 11. Rachel Imanu passed away on the 11th.
Interesting. 11th of Cheshvan. Right. Right. Right.
Another 11.
Right.
You mentioned something
Yes.
at the beginning.
So when the Rebbe became Rebbe, so first the first level of Torah was a level of 10. Right. That's a level of Torah, the level of 10. So the previous Rebbe becomes he has the level of 10. It's very interesting. The Rebbe discusses he had 3 10-year periods, 10 years in Russia, 10 years in Poland, and 10 years in America. So his level, his light, it's light. But it's not the ultimate light. The Rebbe becomes Rebbe, it's 11. 11 is a much higher dimension. Why? Because there's what's called the 8th. Somebody was telling me that she felt that this Shabbos, a holy woman from Sfas, that this is our last Shabbos in this physical realm. The next Shabbos, we're already going to be a Mashiach on the 8th dimension. Now, it's very interesting. The number 8, we know, is connected to Mashiach because it's not like 7 and 8. 8 is infinity, right? Which is interesting that the actual number 8 in English is like infinity. And so the number 8 represents, what is infinity? Infinity is an interesting thing because we think of infinity in the wrong way. Because if I told you, what is infinite? Give me something that's infinite. Huh? Okay, beyond. Good. Air, but you might say a number can go on infinitely, right? So there are 2 kinds of infinity. There's a finite thing that can go on infinitely, And then there's infinity, which is the real infinity, which is Hashem, which he lacks no limitation. Even the limitation of infinity. So it's not infinite, it's not finite, it can be infinite, it can be finite, it can be both. And now we know with quantum physics that the real world doesn't make sense. When something makes sense, if your brain understands it, it's not so great. So I remember this great rabbi, he stopped me 2 a.m. in Crown Heights, and he said, "Oh, you want to know what the mind is?" And I thought I was a little smart. I was like, "Yeah, tell me what the mind is." So he tells me, the Rebbe says the mind is its own perception of itself. I was like, wow, that's deep. So if you understand it, it's already finite. Even if you understand infinity in some way, something that could be infinite, that's already the finite part of infinity. Because infinity itself is not understandable. It's the realm, like the Kodesh HaKadosh. The Rebbe was so into the Kodesh HaKadoshim, because in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, anything can occur. There's no limitations. There's time and space, and there's beyond time and space at the same time. And so ultimately, the ultimate is not only that level of godliness, but that level of godliness, when the Rebbetzin passes away, a new dimension enters the world, that level comes into our level. That's the whole Vart. So ultimately, that we can be part of the infinite in the finite. That's the Rebbe Tachtain, right? That you have the infinite in the finite. Now, what does that mean on a practical level? So, Baruch Hashem, the Rebbe says that Hashem has revealed technology, and part of the revelation of technology, everybody knows the famous thing. It says in Kabbalah that in the 600th year of the 6th millennial, God will open up the floodgates of wisdom of above and below, and they'll converge in anticipation of the coming of the Moshiach, and that parallels the time of Noach, and that is in the 600th year of the 6th millennia, right? Which is approximately 1740 to 1840. Most people say it's 1840, whatever, I've seen different things, but the regular calendar, yeah, the Hebrew calendar, that would be, I guess it would be 600th year of the 6th millennia, so that would be like, right now we are in 5,700, so it would be about 5,600, about 100 and whatever, 7, what do we know, 180 years ago, something like that. God will open the floodgates of wisdom of above and below. What is the wisdom of above? That is Hasidus. It was like from the times of Rebbe Rashab, it was totally opened up. And of below, this is science, quantum physics. And they will converge. It's very important to understand. Anybody that knows quantum physics and knows Chassidus, they're saying the same thing. All the revelations of science today in all fields are just saying what Chabad Chassidus teaches us. And I'm not just saying that just in case somebody's skeptical. Let me tell you, there's a guy, he's a Ger Tzedek, he's a Harvard graduate in physics. He's an associate professor in the University of Chicago. His name is David Imbo. I don't know if anybody knows of him.
What's his last name?
David Imbo. And he heads a team of 1,000 theoretical physicists. These are like the top guys in the world. They've been studying for 40 years math, science,
Quantum physics.
philosophy, physics, philosophy and religion. Because at the level of quantum physics, it gets very, very loopy. And so I was in a lecture where somebody asked me, okay, after 40 years of study, what religion or philosophy matches quantum physics most? And he said Chabad Chassidus.
Wow.
And he's working on a higher level. A lot of people will talk about it, including myself, quantum, but how much I don't know the math behind it. He's writing very high level stuff. And in fact, it's very interesting. People don't know this, but the Rebbe's brother that is buried here, everyone knows he was a mathematician. He was actually a quantum physicist.
Are you serious?
Yes, he was a quantum physicist.
Can you give an example?
I can't because I can't read it. But basically, I heard this from David Imbo himself. He was the one that discovered it because
Wow,
he
you
read
heard it
it.
yourself?
He read.
So he said that to you?
Yes, it was in a lecture. We brought him down to the Chabad of Kansas City. He speaks in a lot of Chabad houses. He read his material. He says this is quantum physics. And not only that, there were Nobel prizes that were won He was only involved for a year or two. He went from Israel to Liverpool. He was a big genius. He was Baki in Chassidus. It's very interesting because there's very much probably a correlation what he knew from Chassidus. He was a very, very, very big Baki in Chassidus. And he took it into the field of quantum physics. And he from stuff that he wrote, 1 or 2 papers, Nobel Prizes, 3 or 4 Nobel Prizes were won based on his theories. So it was a very interesting how he was part of the revelation of this dimension. And basically, in a very simple words, I mean, I can't say much about it, but it's the level of Atzmos. It's the level of Hashem himself. Rebbe says dreams is the level of Hashem. Why? A dream, very, very interesting. There's a mimer of the Rebbe. There are different mimerim that start off kind of to understand this concept. So lahavin inyan achalim is to understand a dream. So he says that a dream comes from Atzmas, Hashem himself. There are different levels where things can come from. What do we find in a dream? First of all, we find that dreams don't always make sense. I don't know if you ever had a dream. They don't always make sense.
Oh, my goodness.
And in fact, I'll tell you a story that my grandfather had a dream 3 nights in a row that he should raise money for the Rebbe. The previous Rebbe came to him. Now, they say if you have a dream and the Rebbe comes to you, it's a real thing. So he went to the Rebbe and he told the Rebbe, and the Rebbe says in Gemara, whenever there's a dream, there's always something, even if it's true, there's something that's false. The false was the amount. It's really 10 times more. And eventually he had the big schus of raising a lot of money for the Rebbe. So the Rebbe says that in every dream there's a message, right? So a dream has a dual reality. It has a message, and that's the thing of Hashem. Wherever you are, Hashem has a message for you, because there's always a higher level. That's the idea of Hashgacha Pratis. The Baal Shem Tov says when Moshiach comes, we'll see Hashgacha Pratis in every detail. What opens up in the world is not a world that changes, right? It's not that, you don't exist anymore. You don't have time and space. No, you do have time and space. You do have a world. However, it's a world in which Hashem is totally revealed. So you're in sync with the infinite in the finite. That's the secret of Mashiach. Now, there's going to be a lot of miracles that are going to occur. Now, what is going to occur? So in my humble opinion, first of all, it says the Torah is poor in one place and rich in another, right? Many things. I mean, in Torah, I remember when I was in yeshiva, just one line of Gemara, I realized you could write a whole book. There's so much comment. There's so much. It's unbelievable. But the question is, certainly when it comes to Mashiach, what is actually going to happen, right? There's so many midrashim, so many different things. So, from my humble opinion, the only one that you can say for sure is the Rebbe. And even in the Rebbe, there are even contradictions in things the Rebbe himself says. Different things, statements like this, and obviously everything's based on Torah. But the Rebbe is very super focused. Like sometimes he's analyzing this and something. So the way I see it is the last 4 years of the Rebbe's teachings, these are the things that really, it's like the ultimate truth brought right down to our level. And I really encourage everybody, if you want, you could remind me, I've taken out quotes from most of these talks. So it's very, very easy. It's in a quote format. I have like the Rebbe quotes on the weekly parsha, and right now I'm giving actually our 2:30 class, the daily class. Everybody's welcome to join. Some of you do join. Let me know if you want to join. Just send me your contact. I'll put you on a group. And
Is it only Zoom?
It's mainly, it's kind of mainly Zoom. You're welcome to come in person. Sometimes, there's an event, so it's difficult to make it definite. Hey, they can live too. It's difficult to make it. It's difficult.
Guys take out because I have to move it to the men. So whatever, if you're gonna take it, just because the fast running out.
So it's difficult to say 100%, but you're definitely welcome to contact me. I'll tell you exactly every day.
Can I get if one word can I get the recordings?
So I don't always do the recordings, okay? So maybe I should, but I don't always do that. But I'll try. I try to do it over here, but it depends if there's something going on or not. Yeah.
All these quotes that you talk about when you fill in, you say
That these latest talks, I feel like it's like the most accurate information. So let's say what's actually, for example, something as simple as this. Is it going to be wings of an eagle or is it going to be clouds, right? We say clouds, what's it going to be? So in the later talks, the Rebbe never mentions once wings of eagle. 4 years straight, he doesn't say once wings of eagle. He says clouds, and he says it very clearly. And the Rebbe says, so I think in these talks you get a very clear picture of what is actually going to happen. Now, of course, we know every generation. So these talks are, they're called Sefer HaSichos. It's been translated. All of it's been translated by Sichos in English. You go to Sichos in English and just look at the last years of 1988 to 1992. Everything's, like I said, I have a translation of a lot of it in quotes. And there's been a fortune of work, especially in the last year of the Rebbe. They call it Devar Malchus. Beautiful, tremendous. It's all been translated into English. Yeah, so I am teaching Devar Malchus here. Again, once in a while there is an event, so we can't do it here.
Is that the 2:30 class?
That's the 2:30 class. Everybody's welcome to come, and you're also welcome to send me your number or send Bina your number. She can send it to me, and I'll put you on. I just make a phone call wherever you are. You can get the call, and then you can just listen in, right? And so it's very, very, very relevant stuff. It's amazing stuff because the way I see it is that, there's something that I like to call spiritual technology, right? We all know about technology, but there's also spiritual technology. Spiritual technology is how things actually function. And that's what I think Chassidus is. We all, of course, being religious Jews, you have a prayer. But if you actually think about Chassidus, I had the schus of translating 1 or 2 books of the Baal Shem Tov, so after you translate a book, that's the easy part. Then you have to edit it. Then after you edit it 3 times, then you actually get an idea of what is the main point. And I think one of the main points of the Baal Shem Tov is that we are, and this is really quantum physics as well, we're creating reality. The reality outside of us is a reflection of the reality inside of us, which is also why it's so important to stay positive. They say by the Yom Kippur War, people brought the Rebbe a pan, obviously to pray. There's a lot of victims in the early. The Rebbe says, I'm not going to allow you to disturb my Simchas Yom Tov. The Rebbe was not a callous person, but he wanted to remain happy. It's so important. We see talks that the Rebbe says, that's why I said L'chaim, that's why it's so important to be with Simcha. Because literally, what does the enemy do? It just wants one thing. It wants you to be upset and sad and worried. That's all it wants. It has no power whatsoever. That's the Yetzer Hara in general. This psychologist once told me the subconscious mind, I don't think it's all the subconscious mind, but the negative, all just wants fear, doubt. Right? And so our role in this world is the exact opposite. If that is the dark side, our role is clarity and confidence. And the clarity and confidence is that the Eibusher runs the world, Moshiach is about to come, and everything extra we do matters. That's it. It's really simple. And everything we do matters. Everything extra we do matters. That's the story. And that, if you actually think about it, that was the Rebbe's whole message to us, right? Moshiach's about to come, God runs the world, everything extra makes a difference. That's it. And that's needs to be our marching orders. Obviously, we have to do whatever we can to help the soldiers, follow orders, But it has to be clear that it's mainly a spiritual war, and the spiritual war can be won by each one of us. And that has to be clear to us. And so the key thing is, okay, what's actually going to happen when Mashiach comes? So this, I'm telling you from everything that I've seen, from all the talks that I've, the last talks, and primarily, which have a tremendous simplicity in these talks, tremendous clarity of what's going to happen. And it goes like this. Number 1, there's going to be Tchias HaMesim. Everybody knows about Tchias HaMesim.
Really? The big axe, I heard that's after.
Right, everyone heard 40 years. 40 years depends. 40 years depends if we're Zaycha or not Zaycha. The Rebbe says we're all Zaycha. The very first stage is going to be Tchias HaMesim, number 1. It's Tchias HaMesim.
The dead coming back.
The resurrection of the dead.
Resurrection of the dead.
Right, get ready. By the way, I want to tell you, there's some very holy people in Ascent. I'll tell you something else. Rabbi Leiter said an interesting story. There was one of the first Bali Tshuva of Ascent. Ascent is like a factory of Kedusha. Yeah. One of the first Bali Tshuva of Ascent. So his father wasn't Jewish, his grandfather's great-grandfather. The family was none too pleased by the turn of events. So the mother, who was Jewish, had a dream, and a man in a white beard came and said to her, I want to tell you a secret. Mashiach will first be revealed in Ascent. And furthermore, what happened, the Rebbe says clearly that Mashiach it says in the Zohar, Mashiach will be revealed in the land of the Galil, and that is Tzfas. The Rebbe says that's Tzfas. So we know that Mashiach is going to be revealed here in Tzfas. Furthermore, I want to tell you about this dream this lady had. Careful. This lady had an amazing dream. So in her dream, this mamish a couple nights ago, Giyar, this very holy woman that comes to us. So she saw. She said she thinks it was Moshiach, somebody that had a talus. She said she saw like hundreds of thousands of tzaddikim, and she understood from the dream that he was directing this war. And I know as well from a very holy Jew in Sfas, how do you know people are holy when things, like everybody can talk, but when things add up? He says, and it says this also in the Medrash, that before Mashiach comes, every nation has a sar, they have an angel. It's like Mashiach steps kind of on the head of them all. They all bow down to Mashiach. And now the whole world, he told me, all these, they've all gone. The whole world is under the hand of Mashiach. Whatever is going on now is being directed directly from Hashem, from Mashiach, from Tzaddikim. It's like the final moment. And if I can say something, which is, okay, you can say, well, don't you have a better plan? But there's something interesting that the Rebbe says, which is when Moshe Rabbeinu comes, and we know it's a parallel story. What's the parallel story? That Moshe Rabbeinu came to Jewish people. He said, guys, basically, I'm Mashiach. It's about to come. And they're like, yay, Mashiach is here. And what happened? It got a lot worse. So they said, Moshe, since you came, it got worse. There's a similar story. The Rebbe says, hey, basically, read between the lines, I'm Mashiach, or Mashiach is ready to come. It's like, and everyone's like, yay, and what happened? Suddenly we don't see the Rebbe. Suddenly we got this attack, that. So first of all, it's very interesting because it says clearly that Mashiach, it says this in the Zohar, it says in the Medrash, I was amazed when I saw this, Mashiach will be revealed, he'll be concealed, and he'll be revealed. The first time he'll be revealed, he'll be accepted by some of the people. When he comes back, everybody will accept him. So this is part of the process of Mashiach, and it's been predicted. A lot of us don't know this. It's been brought down. Most importantly, if you think about it, the way Mashiach is going to come is first there's going to be a resurrection. Now, you actually have to analyze it in very simple words. If there wouldn't come with great miracles, who would believe it? Exactly. Right? If I woke up one day, I said I'm Mashiach, maybe but let's say somebody, even the Lubavitcher Rebbe himself said he's Mashiach, people wouldn't believe it. Okay, very nice. But if it comes with all these miracles, the whole world is primed for Mashiach. I don't know if you know this, but Christianity definitely is waiting for Mashiach, yeah. And they mamish think it's coming. Right. Islam also is waiting for Mashiach, and they think it's coming. May not know this, but they think that Yashka is Mashiach, because Islam is a big combobulation of all the kind of prophecies before, but everyone's waiting for Mashiach. And the Rambam says this clearly, that all of this was to pave the way to Mashiach.
Manis Friedman years ago once said that the whole...
Yeah, it's brought down, it's brought down very clearly in the Rambam that it's paving the way for Mashiach. And also, not only that, it's also that there are mitzvahs, that they are aware of various mitzvahs, because when Mashiach comes, nobody's allowed to convert, but there will be the 7 Noahide laws. But Hashem doesn't want only, and somebody said this, I didn't see this myself, maybe it's true, but the Rebbe said the novelty of Mashiach is he'll be the Rebbe for the Goyim. There were already Rebbes for Yidden, but he'll be the Rebbe for the Goyim. The whole world, but no love kol hagoyim, all the nations of the world. Ki veisi veizu yikar l'chol ha'amim. This house will become a house of prayer for all people. And the Rambam brings us down that the Goyim will say, Sheker hinchilu lahem aveseim. Our ancestors gave us a lie, and so therefore gave us a lie. In other words, they'll realize that their heritage, whatever they believed in Yashka, this and that, was wrong. But the basic story, that there's a God that wants you to be ethical, that there is a Mashiach, that there is mitzvahs, the basic story is correct. Yeah. So imagine a guy goes from paganism to Judaism. It's like many gods, whatever, it's a very big jump. But it's not a big jump. Ironically, from Christianity to Judaism is not such a big jump, right? Even Islam to Judaism, it's not such a big jump. And so then they'll understand, as many are already. There are millions of Goyim in America. They call themselves Messianics, which they basically say the Bible is right, and they're trying to keep mitzvahs. I mean, it's bizarre. They have whatever. I'm not going to go into all the details.
There's also Jews that are following that.
Some, unfortunately, yes.
Yes. So I'm hoping that they,
Definitely the Jews will come. Now this is very important. I saw this from the Rebbe, and we're seeing this literally in real time right now. There's a very important prophecy that the Rebbe brings down from the book of Daniel, and Daniel speaks about Mashiach. Even the year seems to correspond to Tafshin Nun Aleph, when the Rebbe kind of said Mashiach is here. So that the Rambam speaks about, not the Rambam, Daniel speaks about, he says, Yisbaru v'yislabnu v'yitzorfu bahem rabim. What that means is that things will become clear, like good and evil will become clear. Because everything's been a mix since the Parshas Bereishis. I don't know about you, I get a little confused in life. What's good? Even myself, certainly ourselves. Which motive is good? Is really eating the cupcake good? Is it not good? There are a lot of confusing things in life. Good and evil is confusing, right? And they actually says there's no good without evil, and there's no evil without good. So part of the process of life is being able to sift, being able to separate. Actually, that part's from my ego, and that's part from my nefesh. It's a very difficult process to actually understand yourself, right? Probably the biggest part of Mashiach is coming to you. And so the idea is, in fact, the Rebbe says is very interesting, greater than all the revelations, right? Mashiach's going to come. We're going to have Tchias HaMesim. We're going to have a Beis HaMikdash. We're going to have revelations.
is that the second Beis HaMikdash? Is that
The third Beis HaMikdash.
No, is that the second thing that's coming?
Oh,
Tchias
okay.
HaMesim?
Yeah, so the order of what's going to happen is that you're going to have Tchias HaMesim. You're going to have, the Rebbe says that the tzaddikim, the Rebbes, he's speaking, the Rebbes will come into 770. Mashiach is actually, we said Tzfas, but it seems like also 770. I'm not sure how they'll work out together. But definitely the Rebbe says clearly 770. The tzaddik will come. Not only that, the Beis HaMikdash is coming first to 770. Because it says, Yivna Beis HaMikdash b'makoymai, the Beis HaMikdash will be built in its place. The Rebbe says that refers to wherever the Rebbe, the generation is, that's where the Shechina goes. Shechina is at the last tzaddik of the generation. And so therefore 770 has got the location where first, the Rebbe actually says something interesting, that the Frierdiker Rebbe, the previous Rebbe, requested this of Hashem, and he was successful. Like his request was, so the first revelation of Mashiach, it could be that it will be revealed in multiple locations, but if I stuck straight to the talks, the last years of the talks of the Rebbe, it's clear that 770 is the first location. Tzaddikim come, and the Beis HaMikdash itself will appear there. Then the next thing that's going to happen is that clouds are going to come, and the clouds are going to take us to Eretz Yisrael. We're going to take 770. Now we know that Yerushalayim is going to become a metropolis, and if you bought real estate there, it's going to have to shift out because it's going to be a metropolis of shuls. All the shuls of the world will be around Yerushalayim. And the main shuls, like the shuls of the Rebbe of the generation, whether it's 770, the Baal Shem Tov shul, whatever, they will be around the Beis HaMikdash. Okay? And so that's what's going to happen. Everybody is going to get...
So the clouds will bring the Rebbe and the
Yes, yes. And not only that, the clouds are going to bring your home and your Jaguar and your car. They're going to bring your business. They're going to bring everyone. The Rebbe actually says, I heard this from the Rebbe, this way nobody's going to complain. Like, but I had a car there. I had a nice Jaguar. What happened? It's going to bring it all.
What if you sold it in order to make Aliyah?
You can't get it back. Too late. All your assets, all going to come. And it says that everybody's going to have this. I'm not sure I think the Rebbe mentions this, but it's definitely brought down in the Medrash, and I think it's correct. But everybody's going to have I call it a ranch. It says there will be nobody. Just like Eretz Yisrael is a small country that has everything, has a mountain and has a valley. You name it, you got it in Israel. You can go skiing, you can go anything you want. Everybody's going to have everything on their ranch. We're all going to have this gorgeous property. And we're going to have, it says these are other prophecies that are mentioned. Huh? Well, it won't even compare. Diamonds will be like dust. You'll have everything. The Rebbe speaks about this, that we're going to have everything spiritual and physical. So why physical? Why do I need, my private jet? He says, because when Hashem does good, He does good on all levels. Everything good that can be will come to us. The Rebbe was very into this. Gashmias. Yeah.
Sorry, but surely not materialism.
Right. Good question. Good question.
Not materialism. In other words, having a jet and having be
You're
part of
using
the
it for good,
house.
you're using it for good.
I want all of that.
And not
And a lot of diamond rings.
Ordering our seafood as well.
Yeah, oh, 100%. Coming on a cloud to you, Yosef.
Here he is.
So the interesting thing is this: materialism is only a problem if we're materialistic. But if we're good people and what we truly want is like we do, which is spirituality and want the right thing, materialism then it becomes a tool. And not only that, materialism could be a good thing. Now, we won't be into materialism. Materialism won't matter to us. But we will have everything that is of benefit. A beautiful home, I don't know, yes, servants. It speaks that every Jew will have thousands of goyim, not servants of servants, come from South Africa, but of people that are going to come to you and say, listen, can I wash your car? What can I do for you? Because the goyim will realize that the Jewish people are the chosen people, and it will be in their interest. It will be a schus for them. It's happening now already. You know, the signs of Mashiach, it's very interesting. You know, many people think about Mashiach in the negative. Whenever the Rebbe spoke about Mashiach, he always spoke about it in the positive. That, listen, look at what's happening. Now, we have Eretz Yisrael. The support for Eretz Yisrael is unprecedented, not even now, which is off the charts. Yeah. But before even now, we always hear about anti-Semitism, but 70%, when Obama became president, 50% of Americans supported Israel. When he was finished, 70% supported. All the anti-Semites do is make more people love us. Wow. It's because they see clearly, anybody that has a head on their shoulders and a heart in their heart, sees clearly these are the good guys, these are the evil people. Yeah. And this is part of the process of that's going on in the world today, which is a separation process. Mm-hmm. And to be perfectly frank, you know, there was a big combobulation because darkness, which is sexual desire or maybe ego, and it can be hidden within the light. Like basically, if you want to look at it clearly, the whole intelligentsia, they're part of the darkness. Not necessarily because they're bad, they're normal people. But the Rebbe says it's Yavan, it's grease. Yavan starts with a little yud, then has a vav, and then has a long dun. Starts off on a little intellectual idea. But because it's not based, and this was the big war between Judaism and Greece, which is a war till this day that we're fighting. Which is that Judaism says, no, number one, what does God say? We're not here for our minds. Our minds are here for God. We're here to subjugate our emotions to God. And meanwhile, what's happening I taught in university, I saw it, what's happening, and of course many good people as well, is that the mind gets hijacked by the desires. If you don't have a God, Margaret Thatcher said it best, whoever doesn't have religion is a slave to their passions. Very simple. So it may be, the Rabbi Marash said it. He said if you were to castrate all the intelligentsia, right, it was a time of enlightenment, they'd all abandon their whole philosophies. They were just excuses to get away with things that they wanted to do. But then eventually it blows up. Because, you know, you can come and you can say, oh, let's not deal with reality, but eventually reality deals with you, right? They say you don't have to find the war will find you. And so the point is you have to, anyway, I don't want to go into negative. The positive side of what's happening in terms of Mashiach is that this is a massive, what's happened now is unbelievable. It's like I could have never imagined where I have a friend, he's a big donor in America. He said people have companies, this is very real. I mean, we're talking about like Wall Street. They're telling the Ivy League colleges, and some of them, unfortunately, some of these kids have been brainwashed. And most of it actually comes to the credit of the West. Most of it actually comes from Islam. You know, when I toured Europe, the only anti-Semitic statement I had in Germany was from a Muslim. It wasn't from the Germans. So most of the West are okay. Just a lot of them have been brainwashed. And so, but they're saying, listen, we're not anybody that signed against Israel. We're not hiring them. They're not getting a job. People are saying, if you know, they're saying we're not like University of Pennsylvania, anything that had to, we're not giving donations to your university anymore. Jews have woken up big time, and even in the left here, I think the whole thing has just knocked it out. And the Avos Yisrael, and I do want to say one thing about Avos Yisrael, which is it kind of came to me. We were going together, we delivered some stuff. It's very, very beautiful. The soldiers were saying this, and this guy, he said to me today, like, thank you so much, because also, being a soldier and just knowing that it's the Jewish army. By the way, I don't know if you know this, the army has a big problem. Everybody's gaining 10 pounds. So they're like, stop sending kugel and cholent already. Only like lean, mean bars. But this is a Jewish army. Like, I asked the guy that we sent something to the other day, I said, what can we send? Like, he says, oh, well, some of the soldiers, they're having a party, so like, how about some pizza? So Chaim Ash is going to be making a cake. It's like such a Jewish army. So, and right, the tzitzis, this is massive what's going on. It's like
And the
One
fact
thing
that
that-
the Iranians are supporting the army.
This is the biggest thing. There's a guy in town, Chaim David, I'll say his name because he's a very holy Jew, Chaim David. And Chaim David told me, whenever he has a vision, kind of Moshiach, he always sees this vision of a secular Jew without a yarmulke and like a guy with all the levushim dancing together. And he told me this before this whole thing. He says, Moshiach to happen, there has to be unity in our people.
100%.
And this, unfortunately, has made us unified. I mean, this is something that I want to say, which is important, is that why does it, Chris? An interesting thing. I remember I was going then with my wife. We were in New York. It was a year after. Now, we've been to New York before. New York is not a warm place, right? Suddenly people are very nice. People are holding the door for you, this and that. So I asked my wife, I said, why do you think this is? She said, everybody has a shared experience. But I think it's even deeper than that. The real reason, why is it? The Jewish people, and this is a line that she just gave me today. I put it on my Farbrengen chat. Everybody's welcome if you want to join the chat. But basically I put out little varts. So why is it? She said like this, we are a family, and all families are dysfunctional. But when it comes push to shove, we're ready to give our lives for each other. Now, there's an interesting thing. Why are families a little dysfunctional? There's a great line. There's a guy by the name of, what's his name? Goleman, Daniel Goleman. He's really great. He wrote a book called Emotional Intelligence. So Daniel Goleman, one of the lines in his book is, there were 2 rules in my family. Number 1, 2 rules of my family. Number 1, we don't have problems. Number 2, we don't talk about them. So, huh?
One question for
Yes.
Now or when you finish? You can make the question now when you finish.
Can you wait a little? Yeah, okay. So the story is like this. The real reason that we have achdus and unity when these things happen, and really there's all these philosophies, sophisticated philosophies of being too religious, of being too, it's all gone. It's like, what can I do? What can I do for you? The reason is because we all in our own soul are loving. We're all Hashem. We all have unconditional love. No baby is born with hate. Nobody's born with an ego. We're not born like that way. So what happens? What happens is usually we get defensive. And it sparks our ego. And now we're kind of, I got to save my honor. And now we're so much into my degree or my religion or my this and my that. And so we basically become super focused. Not that we don't have the good side, we just become focused on the ego. But when you're in a time like this, where you're basically survival, so the ego isn't there anymore. What am I going to be telling the whole world how great I am? It's like, so what's left? My neshama. So what's the job? The job is to always be my neshama. That's what the Rebbe tells us. Kassis Lamar, choose to be your neshama in a time like this. When the ego gets pushed away and you can be focused, now's the time to say, you know what? This is who I really am. I'm really this loving person. I'm really this person that's sensitive. This is me. Because really the greatest power that we have, if not the only power that we have, is choice. I choose to be this, right? And now, Baruch Hashem, you can choose to be whatever you want. The world is giving you free choice. I choose to be a good person. I choose to be a person that follows. This is my choice. And just keeping that choice, lock it in, Okay, so that's one thing that I wanted to mention.
Which includes peaceful, happy,
Yes.
open-hearted,
Right.
generous,
Yes.
everything that
Exactly.
you dream to be.
Exactly. And giving up, right? Giving up our foibles, giving up our hurt. And if somebody's going to hurt me, this is a very important thing. I choose now not to let it bother me. For whatever reason, I decided to become a bus driver at one point. I took a course. And the first thing, just before they even hire you, they do like a psychological thing. They want to know that you don't have anger issues. Because basically, to drive a truck, it's kind of the same thing. It's like if a person has anger, if you notice, truckers never get up, they never honk. One of the things they teach you is that if somebody cuts you off, say, "Be my guest." Very important. Somebody offends you, be my guest. So if a trucker from Alabama can learn how to tell somebody, "Be my guest," because otherwise he's going to kill him, we can learn that too. Okay, so it's an important lesson for us to take on. Somebody offends me, be my guest. It's okay, no problem. And that ultimately is our real power, that nobody can touch you, because if you are higher than getting hurt, no one can touch you. And ultimately, all the enemy wants, all anti-Semitism really is, or bullying, it's really the same psychology. It's trying to put someone down because somebody's feeling down, and they're down that you're not feeling down. That's the whole psychology behind the thing. And if I can quote myself, which I love doing, so I kind of came up with this understanding, and I was in where's that? I think it's was it Bal? No, what's that mall? Which Pick and Pay Norwood Mall, yeah. So I was in Norwood Mall, yeah, and we had a stand there for tefillin, right? Masinta. Doing its film stand. So there was an open place, a lot of Muslims there. So some young people came. They were very sweet and nice, and I was talking to them. And another guy a little older, and right away I saw this guy's like he wants to pick a fight. So I wasn't in the mood. So I said to him as follows. I said, "Do you love me or do you hate me?" So he couldn't say he loves me, and he couldn't say he hates me. It's face to face. So he says, "You know the Palestinians." So I said to him, "I just want you to know that I love you." And he put his head down and he walked away. Because behind the whole thing is what? Is misery, is lack of love. And so obviously you can't always do that, but it's a trick. And not only that, I was in New York and there was a protest, and there were some Arab people and some Chassidim there. And so it starts like this argument. So I told the Chassidim, "Let's dance." It was so cute. So he started to dance, and these people before that were arguing with us, if you dropped a nuclear bomb, they would have been more surprised. They were like shocked. They didn't know what to do. Why? Because the whole thing they're looking for is a fight. That's what they're looking for. It's like what misery loves company. And this was, and in fact, it's very, very interesting. Welcome, Rebbitzin. So it's very interesting that there was a guy that, I don't know, a reporter, I saw this a while ago, that went into Gaza just at a protest. Right? And these guys have been brainwashed. Unfortunately, they have to be wiped out because unfortunately they've all been brainwashed. You should just look at the statistics.
Children.
Yeah, they're like, never mind Gaza, in the West Bank it's 90% supporting of terrorists. It's a very big problem. And Israel made a horrific mistake, and B'chal, the West makes this mistakes, because these radical people, they pretend to be the leaders of the movements, and then we say, "Oh, you're the leader, okay, then we'll deal with it." Meanwhile, they terrorize the whole people, and they infiltrate their ideology. So the number one thing is to wipe them out and not to give them the ability to, poison the next generation, etc., etc. But be that as it may, what happened was, so this guy is in Gaza, literally at this kind of rally, and this father's holding this little girl or whatever, and she's got like a, suicide vest on, as this is what they glorify. And so the reporter says, "Is this what you want for your child? Like, is that what you want?" So the guy says, "Yes, don't you want that for yours? Like, isn't that what you want?" And he says, "No." And I saw this, it's amazing. And the Arab goes, "What do you mean no?" In other words, what's going on psychologically? He's ready to give up his kid's life, probably his own life, and he thinks, this is the interesting thing, he thinks that you are against him. he doesn't realize he's the one fighting the war. You're not fighting the war. Because when people get into this kind of mentality, and there's a lot of theories on it, game theory, it's called zero-sum game. They think they're in a war. So now, what's their whole idea? Who's going to win? Right? Really, we're not in a war. Russia has this mentality too. It's all worried, the West a bit. We're not fighting you.
We're not fighting.
Right. We love you. We care about you. We care about you 1,000 times more than you care about yourself. In any event, that's one thing. So this class is really about Moshiach and about the times that we're in. So we had a beautiful class here, Sukkah. We kind of said some of this already. But the point is that there has, this is something that I was saying before, we know, Ki meit seischa me'eretz Mitzrayim arenu neflois, as we left Egypt. So really what's going on now is a spiritual reality, a very, very beautiful spiritual reality. Now, I don't want to talk for too long because I've talked for a long time already and I can keep on talking. And, what?
Nechamaddina's not here yet.
She's going to come back after.
Yeah.
About 12:30. Okay, cool. So the first thing that we have to understand is that we are the chosen people. Whether you like it or not, you've been chosen. You've been given a role, and our role is to be the light onto the world. And to be a light onto the world, you have to be a light. Just that simple. So when the Jewish people left Egypt, it's very interesting because Moshe Rabbeinu came. I don't know if any of you know Yossi Ben Hashevitz from South Africa. Very brilliant guy. He has this great line. He says, nothing has changed. Moshe Rabbeinu came to the Jewish people, and very few were like with the program. Most is like, Moshe Rabbeinu, I'm sorry, we don't see Mashiach. He made it worse. I don't know, maybe you're a little illusional or something like that. The point is, the Rebbe says, why did it get worse? If Hashem is about to bring Mashiach, in any event, why make it worse? And the answer is like this, because the Jewish people had to be able to receive the Torah. And to receive the Torah, they had to be ki'ish echad b'lev echad, like one man with one heart. And so what did we say before? What takes us away from oneness is our stupid little ego.
Right.
And so when the ego dissipates, then the oneness is there. We say, Barcheinu Avinu Kulanu Kecha, bless us, our Father, all as one. And when the Rebbe brings us down, that if there was one tzaddik that did full tshuva, Mashiach would come. So maybe what that actually means, if one of us actually could get ourselves to the point of infinite oneness. Some of you from South Africa, so, Louis Gavin. So Louis Gavin was, long story short, I don't want to go into the whole thing, but he was kind of hired by Nelson Mandela to run their campaign. And so he told me, to the credit of Nelson Mandela, they created a new mentality. We're not into vengeance, we're into a one nation thing. And so he said that he had a Rebbe status. He didn't hold grudges. The guy was in prison for 27 years. Mandela, yeah. He was the kind of person that didn't hold grudges. So we have to get ourselves to that level where, we're at this stage now. My only focus in life. There's a Yid, very, very, very special guy. His name is Eli Cohen. Eli Cohen's niece is a Lubavitcher chassid. She's a Lubavitcher balas tshuva. And I'm friendly with two of her sons. So these are her, Eli Cohen, the famous spy. By the way, I don't know if you know this, Eli Cohen was a big Talmud Chacham.
The Eli Cohen from the Mossad.
Yeah, from the Mossad.
It is?
Eli Cohen from the Mossad was a massive Talmud Chacham.
Yeah.
He learned 8 years with the
Eli Cohen.
Eli Cohen, the Eli Cohen. He was a genius. The rabbi of Egypt.
Yeah, I know.
He learned a lot. The rabbi of Egypt wanted him to become a rabbi. He learned the fortune of Gemara. He helped smuggle people out. He was a genius.
Yeah.
He was a big Talmud Chacham.
And amazingly brave.
Amazing, yes, very, very
Yeah.
brave. In fact, it was a little bit. What I don't want to go into,
Wait,
but
so you're in touch with his
so his great nephews. Yes, one is Menachem Cohen. Another is Eli Cohen. Very amazing people. Really, very gifted, brilliant, very special people. So this when I saw his great nephew Eli Cohen, I saw something very great in him. So I said to him, "Give me a vart." So he gave me one vart. He says, "Your ego is there to teach you how much to love." It's a good vart. In other words, all of our passion, we have to have passion in life. but it's to put it in the right direction, right? That's the whole thing. So let's get back to what's actually going to occur when Mashiach comes. So first of all, I want to speak about the spiritual Mashiach, and this is so interesting. Many people, the spiritual Mashiach. Many people know. In fact, the Rebbe says contradictory statements. The Rebbe says, and usually every single sikha says the same contradiction. But the Rebbe will kind of say, Mashiach is here. It's terrible that Mashiach isn't here. Almost and sometimes it's like in the same paragraph or two paragraphs, one after the other. Like the Rebbe, the very famous sikha, the Rebbe writes to the women, beautiful, beautiful sikha. I need not tell you the whole thing. The Rebbe says the merit of the righteous Jewish women, sneas and Shabbos count, etc., etc. But the Rebbe says that we should be dancing that Mashiach is so close, and we should be bitter that he's not already here, right? So what's going on here is, this is my chiddush, I don't know if it's true, but I think it's true, is that there's two Mashiachs. Everything in the universe has a body and a soul. There's the soul of Mashiach, and there's the body of Mashiach. The body is what you see, the soul is what it really is. What is the soul of Mashiach? Soul of Mashiach, and this is, and after I translated the book, it's called The Rebbe Mashiach. Get it from Amazon, you can get it on my website. Everything the Rebbe said from the last year and published. This is what I got. Mashiach is one thing. It's the revelation of Hashem. And this is what I said to you before, that what is the revelation of Hashem? It's not something that's beyond our realm, because if it's beyond, it's a limitation. It's something that's beyond and within. It allows you to exist, allows him to exist, allows both of you to exist at the same time. It's like a marriage. It's called a marriage. In a marriage, a healthy marriage, you are you, your husband is your husband, and the two of you are one, and it's all happening at the same time. That's Mashiach. We have our Bechira, I am me, with my little brain, my experiences that shape me. Hashem is always Hashem, and we're also one at the same time in this dimension. It's something that I'll never understand, but it is reality. That's how things are functioning. 62% of the world today believe they have a personal relationship with God. We hear a lot about atheism. We don't realize that the majority of the world are believers, and 62, these are real polls, Gallup polls, believe they have a personal connection to Hashem. Now, if you consider that, I don't know, China has 1 point whatever billion people, and probably a lot of atheists there, the way they're brought up, that means a vast majority of the Western and Eastern countries have real connection to Hashem. So I shouldn't say that, but the soul of Mashiach, the essence of Mashiach, is a revelation of Hashem, which is the revelation of Hashem as, in a way, your own neshama coming to you, because your neshama is Hashem, your own, the voice of Hashem, whatever you want to call it. Hashem is here, and that is Mashiach. And because of that, we're also going to have all the other miracles. Now, what are the miracles going to be? So, we're going to have Tchiyas HaMesim, number one. And Mashiach, in fact, this is interesting. One time the Rebbe says this, but Mashiach is not only a one-man show. Mashiach is all the tzaddikim. The Rebbe says in a sikha, we're going to point to Moshe Rabbeinu, say Moshe Rabbeinu, even though the Rebbe does say that the neshama of all the tzaddikim go into the last one, so the Rebbe has everybody. The neshama of every Nasi Adar goes into the next one. So the Rebbe has a neshama. That's why the Rebbe also says Moshe is the first redeemer, the last redeemer, because the neshama comes into Mashiach. Mm-hmm. But still, not only that, sometimes you just have to apply logic to spiritual things. If Moshe Rabbeinu is here, you think he's a nobody? Moshe Rabbeinu, this famous story that there's going to be a Suda. And in fact, the Rebbe says this, so I'm quoting directly the Rebbe. The Rebbe says in a sikha, we'll point, like, here's the Frierdiker Rebbe as Mashiach, here's Moshe Rabbeinu, and mainly, the Rebbe says, mainly David, here's David HaMelech as Mashiach. We call David Malka Mashiach. So the fact is, all the tzaddikim will resurrect, and in fact, it's brought down, the Rebbe brings it down in later sikhas, that just like the rose is meant for the Shabbos table, the tzaddikim are meant for Mashiach. So it's very important, because if you think about what we said before, that the whole world, everybody honors Isaiah as a prophet. In fact, I don't know if you know this, but the way Islam works is that all of our prophets are their prophets too. They say Muhammad was the final of the prophets. So they honor Noah and Adam and Musa, Moshe Rabbeinu. In fact, the Torah is a holy book to them. They say that all those books are holy, including Christianity, but they were mistakes, and now the Quran is the one without mistakes. But the point is that they have a real respect. Normal Muslims, by the way, as a rabbi, they have a lot of respect. You can have a conversation with a non-radical Muslim, and they really have, because a lot of the beliefs, the believing in Mashiach and these kind of things, those that are not radical, really have, even the radical ones from one side, beliefs in the idea of God, the idea of mitzvahs, this and that. So the point is that they honor our prophets. They know that Moshe Rabbeinu is Moshe Rabbeinu. So when the Mashiach comes and he doesn't come back, and they realize that the Jews are right, they'll look up and they'll say, wow, these are the people, right? And so the whole world has been primed. This is my own little brain, but even the secular world, you have movies like Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. These movies have their characters are like Mashiach. They like save the world. And not only that, the characters die and come back to life. Wow. It's interesting how the Rebbe or Mashiach, Hashem has really primed the brains of humanity that when it happens, because if everybody was secular or if everybody was pagan, Mashiach will come and they wouldn't know what's going on, or God forbid, they say he's another God. But now the whole world has the story. They just got to fit the character into the story.
Everything in Hollywood, every movie, every program, like the source is the Torah.
Interesting.
If you think about it, like it takes pieces. Stories in the Torah.
So what's going on here? Yes.
Then that's the reason why the Rebbe had to die. Because you say that there will be the resurrection, there will be such a miracle. If the Rebbe would have walked out of 770 guys,
furthermore, the Rebbe speaks about technology. I didn't see this, but I heard that the Rebbe said that one of the reasons technology is that when Mashiach comes, everybody will see it. And this famous thing that it says, I think from the Alter Rebbe or Chassid of the Alter Rebbe, that when Mashiach comes, it will stay in the Gazetin. In fact, it's interesting because when there was at a certain point, there was this thing in international media that Chabad says the Rebbe is Mashiach, and it was international. The Rebbe actually quoted that it's like when Mashiach comes, it will be in the newspapers. And furthermore, go ahead. It's also important to realize that technology, the Rebbe says, it gives us examples to understand Hashem. The Rebbe uses a computer as an example to understand Hashem because a computer can have all the information of the world. You have one brain that understands and knows everything. So now we see how that, and this is very important to understand, it's not only knows it from on top level, knows it also from on bottom level. Because your GPS knows your car. Google knows you better than you know yourself. So technology can be on a top level and a bottom level. I saw that sometimes when I was on Facebook, I was getting ads. The moment I would think something, I'd get an ad for the thing. So the point is that Hashem is like with us down here in the trenches. He's with us. And that's why it's very important to understand. He's with you no matter how big everything is. He's equally, and I'll tell you something very, very beautiful. My uncle once asked the Rebbe, he doesn't understand the idea of Hashgacha Pratis. Hashgacha Pratis, Hashem is looking after a worm at the bottom of the ocean. Really? You got nothing better to do? Then the Rebbe says he doesn't understand how there can't be Hashgacha Pratis. Why? I'm embellishing the example, but it's basically the example. So let's say you have a store. You're selling shoes. So you need to know the income, the outcome. Let's say you have 1,000 stores. You can't know. You can just have this general overview. But let's say you had a brain like a computer. You can know every single shoe. No problem. You can see it all. I don't know if you know this, but men can basically think of one thing at a time, unless they're very, very... Women can basically think of 3 things at a time. A Rebbe can think of infinite things at a time. So he can think of each. There are no limitations to Hashem's brain. He sees everything simultaneously, which actually shows us how powerful we are, because that means he sees. That's why the Rebbe was so into the extra thing you do. Because whatever you do already becomes like the A student. You don't give them a cupcake when they have an A. You say, whatever. But the B student got an A, So whenever we're able to do that, push ourselves a little more, we're able to go higher. So I'm going to have to finish up. So let me just... Yeah.
You spoke about...
Conclude this.
Shift that I saw, because years ago when I...
So I just want to conclude very quick. So what's going to happen when Mashiach comes is that first of all, we're going to come, the clouds are going to come, they're going to take us to Eretz Yisrael, and we're going to have the Beis HaMikdash. The Beis HaMikdash will be here, and then it will settle down. and then it will just be like, wow, the Rebbe is giving a talk. Let's go here, Moshe, and whatever it is. We're going to continuously grow. All the sichos the Rebbe always speaks about this. And that's why the inner work was necessary. Because you can't just live in this fantasy world. You had to be a person that grew, that understands what growth is. And so even when Mashiach comes, you don't lose the gullus. It just adds to the gullus. Now you become Geula in gullus. You continuously expand and grow all the time. Okay, so somebody very patiently was waiting for a question. Yes, question.
Can I ask a question too?